welcome. My name's Reverend Dr. Michael McMorrow, coming to you live from the sanctuary at the Center for Spiritual Living here in Granada Hills, California. We're located in the North San Fernando Valley. We're a faith community that welcomes all who practice their beliefs in faith and love. So we're delighted to have you here with us this evening. If this is your first time joining us online, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll get a little reminder every time we live stream. We'd love to have you join us regularly. And so tonight I'm joined by one of our practitioners here, the wonderful Beverly Scott. So you can give her some love in the chat. And we're going to get underway. We have a few folks who come in a little later here in house. And of course, you're welcome, if you're local, to come in and join us. We have good air conditioning, so there's that. All right. So let's just start by taking a deep, conscious breath. And just on that exhale, we're just releasing the day and claiming this moment as our own as we come together for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Now, fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this evening. So as, I almost said Reverend Beverly. So as Beverly lights the first candle, she says, hush your mouth. As Beverly lights the first candle, it's for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. The second candle we light for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. The fifth candle we light for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path to submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. The 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet still unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here in our sanctuary, within our online community, and within our own hearts. And so as Beverly lights our healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experienced the healing flame of God's eternal love.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender God.
Let us turn within, giving our thoughts, turning over our mind, accepting that there is one mind, God's mind. That's our mind now. As we unfold into the silence and space with the Most High, knowing wherever we are, God is. God is here in my heart, in your heart, in the sanctuary, in the hearts and minds of those online. And I'm grateful for this truth. It feels so good to know that I'm not alone. We're not alone. We can always turn within and find comfort, and be comforted. Realizing that infinite spirit, the presence, is my life, my supply, my high tower, my soul. I know and accept the same spirit is the high tower, soul, supply, protector of all beings and all creations. And that brings me such joy. That I have arrived to the openness and the receptivity of my being, and I can be the light and the love for those that have yet found a way to hold space for themselves. It's what we are here for, and I'm thankful. I release my word into the activity of law, accepting without a shadow of a doubt that my word is true, instant, and now manifest. Join me in saying and affirming, and so it is. Amen. Thank you all for being here this evening. It's another Wednesday night. It's actually the first Wednesday in August. This evening, my talk, my thought, my creative thought is very personal, but it's a demonstration and I must share it. It may resonate, and that's what we're here for, to bring out principles and tools to help us move forward on our journey. Love is the answer. Love is truly the answer. Just a little backstory for those who don't know me, which are most. I was married for 25 years. Beautiful, lovely marriage. Had 2 adorable children who are now grown and making their way in the world. One of the things that has been heavy on my heart, I have a very close relationship with both my children. Their father, so-so relationship. but I know deep down they love him. So the oldest, my daughter Erin, she and Dad have been, I would say, estranged for, the last couple of years, maybe 4 or 5. Basically what that means, she's got her life and it's not much he can tell her. So with this being said, now my daughter is expecting a child. The baby will be due in December. And one of the things, I was over the top, but she was not ready to tell her father. So I'm in a pickle. My joy, I'm excited. So basically he found out, I guess, as he put it, rumor, word of mouth. And he was somewhat picking me, but I did not let on. I strongly feel it's her place when she's ready. And I think now she just really wanted to make sure she's new. It's new to her. So this week, my now granddaughter, my son's child, was FaceTiming TT, that's what she calls Erin. And while she was FaceTiming her, Chaz, my husband, ex-husband, called, and we were talking, and I had him on speaker. And he was excited because I was allowed to tell him, hey, Erin's having a baby, so he's all excited. And I was looking at our daughter's face as she was hearing his voice, and I saw nothing but love. It just made me feel so good. So, fast forward. We all know that parents should not provoke their children, and children should honor their parents. We do not know. We had no choice in who our parents are going to be. We have to accept and just go with it. But we must love our parents and respect them. Parents must love their children and respect them. So with that said, my daughter says, Mom, I want Dad to think of names for the baby. And I told him that. And then she asked for his contact information. And so the burden, the demonstration, I gave this to God, and God worked his magic, which is what God does. So that's my demonstration. Love is the answer. We're to be still. We take it to the Father, and we leave it. A couple of quotes. Karen Goldman. There is only one path to heaven on earth. We call it love. And I'm going to leave it there. Love, peace, and harmony. Love your children. Children, love your parents. God loves all of us. Now, for a few announcements. For all of you that are in need of someone to talk to or prayer, please visit CSLGH.org. There are awesome practitioners waiting to be of service. A reminder, the first and third Sunday is youth church. It's immediately after the second service, doing 10:30 service. Saturday, August 5th, there will be a workshop by Reverend Dr. Maureen, Unconscious Invitation, Breaking the Cycle of Reoccurring Struggle. It's 1 p.m. The cost for the workshop is $40. It's in person here at the center. Sunday, August 6th, is busy each Sunday, 9 a.m. service in person, 10:30 service in person and online, fellowship at 11:45 on Zoom, the young adult program at 11:45. Immediately after service, there will be preparation, a meeting for the fall festival that will take place this year. Monday, August 7th, the Children's Theater Camp is all week long, 9 a.m. until noon. So please, those of you, please show up and support our young children. Wednesday, August 9th, at 9 a.m., online is a Sangha. This concludes the announcements. Without further ado, I will step aside and Reverend Dr. Michael McMorrow will take us into our meditation. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Beverly. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I liked your message. You know, it's always this teaching of that we call religious science, science of mind, is a teaching of, it's a philosophy, it's a way of life whose ultimate goal is that of healing. And so I always appreciate hearing demonstrations of healing, particularly within families. What I heard you say is something that I've observed many times over the years. You know, one of the great things about being a minister is that you kind of have a license to be soft. You don't have to be a hard ass anymore. And so the thing that's nice about that is you get to observe the way and the powerful effect that softness has in healing people who are in discord. And it strikes me one more time that it was just your daughter hearing, you know, the sound of the excitement of her father's voice, right? And that you got to witness the, you know, it's like the scales, right? And that story of Paul, when the scales fall from his eyes and you see with new sight, you know? And that's the way healing is, right? And when we really understand that love is the healing agency, particularly in this teaching that is so attached to words, that it's really the feeling tone, the energetic behind the words, the energetic of love behind all of it, that is the healing modality. And I'm also struck by, you know, the power of names in your story, right? So we were talking beforehand, and apparently Chaz has a gift for names.
Yes.
You left that part out in your story. So the, and I have, so my middle name is Francis. And when I hated that when I was a kid, because everybody knows Francis is a girl's name, right? And even though it's very popular in Ireland, there's a lot of boys named Francis in Ireland, and in Italy as well. And of course, there's Franciscos in Latin America. So it seems kind of silly today, but also the power, that there is power in names. There's power in naming. And I suppose this is also an insight of ministry, which really is an insight in contemplation, because the gift of ministry is that you have a community that supports you in sitting around and contemplating the nature of life, right? And then you get to share it. So the power of the name Francis, as I learned more about my namesake, who was Francis of Assisi. So in the Catholic tradition, you know, you take a name at baptism, and that was the name my parents gave me. And so I became, as it happened, I was a very strong, still am today, as many of you know, lover of nature. The other thing is, in Catholicism, they also have a tradition that each day is a feast day. And so on your birthday, you have whoever was this assigned saint. And mine happens to be Augustine. And I never understood that until as an adult. So Augustine was a bit of a go-boy. You know, he was, let's just say he went out to the far country. And then he came to himself. So he was like one of those wine, women, and song kind of guys, who then had a spiritual awakening and, of course, became became an early church father in the second, third century. And then that kind of ended up being my story too, right? That I had my own path. And there's just interesting parallels with that. So I don't know what to say about that, except that it's interesting to ponder. And then one more thought on this idea of the power of naming is that we're learning so much now about the frequency, the power of frequency in sound, which of course our names have a particular frequency. And so these things are interesting to consider. Because I have really come to see that there is a resonance within my own spiritual meanderings and contemplations. And meditation is, that I have found meditation to be a part of that. In my own treatment work, when I speak to attuning to, I'm speaking specifically to that there's this universal frequency that expresses itself, that's my opinion, expresses itself as love on this earth plane. And as we attune ourselves to that, our lives even in an intuitive way, we can use it in a directed way, but even intuitively, finds a way of expression that has more depth and meaning. And really, it's through the connection of other people as we come to see the divine is reflected back to us in all of these aspects of life, which is what Francis would speak to. Of course, Francis was a 12th century mystic. This book, by the way, I'm continuing to work with. I love how Ladinsky takes a biography and just kind of creates a story, right? So you have the life of Francis, and then it kind of gives you a nice little snapshot in a page or two. But one of the things that he shares is, and I didn't know this, that Francis had tried to be a soldier and went off to fight in the Crusades. And the story is that he came across Shams. Now, if you are a fan of Rumi's poetry, then you would know Shams was Rumi's teacher. And so here we have one mystic meeting another mystic in the Holy Land during the Crusades. And it was after this encounter where he realized he had a vision, Francis had a vision, where he realized that he really wasn't much of a soldier after all. And then went back to Italy and, of course, started the Franciscan order, what became the Franciscan order. But here's a poem that he wrote, and it's a short one, and then we'll get into our meditation. It's called A Kind Face. A Kind Face by Francis of Assisi. Joy is the greatest cleanser, and it is the greatest testimony to our faith. Joy is the greatest cleanser, and it is the greatest testimony to our faith. Toil with happiness, my Lord once said to me. God sent a servant on an errand through a dangerous part of the world. The servant, having received in hand what God wanted delivered, turned to the holy and said, "My beloved master, do you have a final instruction?" And God replied, "A kind face is a precious gift." The servant, having received in hand what God wanted delivered, turned to the holy and said, "My beloved master, do you have a final instruction?" And God replied, "A kind face is a precious gift." So we can meditate on that tonight, right? A nice simple notion. And I'm just thinking of this image of your little granddaughter FaceTiming. Right? A precious gift of joy. And, and that children are always just so present with where they are in the moment, right? So it can go from joy to fury, right? To, sweetness, right? In 30 seconds. But, anyway, so let's just meditate, contemplate on the power of kindness, the power of softness, the healing power of love itself. So let's just take a deep conscious breath and release. And as we feel that release, we just allow ourselves to slip, to anchor into this moment. Taking another deep breath and release. Just exhaling the day, allowing ourselves to be fully present as we bring our attention to the movement of the breath in the nostril. Take one more deep breath. Just feel the release in the body, the shoulders drop. Bringing our attention to the movement of the breath in the nostril. As you bring your attention to the movement of the breath, you'll find the mind begins to still. We have discovered when we're really still within our oming bro chanting, ticking of a clock. So we use all of it to focus our attention in the present moment. Using sensation to focus the mind. Tummy rises and falls easily. With each exhale, we're just releasing any tension. You start from your feet up the leg, just working on your own. Feel any tension at all. Sometimes we keep tension in the knee. Just make that adjustment. Into the sit bones. Sometimes we keep tension in the seat. If we find a place of tension, we just take a deep breath. And on the exhale, just feel the release in that moment. Attention to the sit bones. Tummy rising and falling easily and naturally. The spine is straight, yet free of tension, balanced over the sit bones. Head balanced on the spine, chin slightly tucked. Breath together. And on the release, just allow the shoulders to drop, the neck to lengthen, scanning the arms, the hands, releasing, following the breath. Bringing our attention to our face. On the next exhale, just allow the face to drop. Attention to space between the eyebrows, third eye, and finally the crown of the head. As we focus now on the exhale, taking one more deep breath. Our final release as we move now into the silence. attention gently back into the room, staying with the breath. As we focus our attention, our movement of the breath to the heart center. Where the spark of the divine resides. So with each breath, we are fanning that spark, that flame, that breath of awareness that God is within us. And with each attentive breath now, we simply allow it to grow. This light now becoming a ball of fire at our very heart center, growing in radiance and beauty. A fire that illuminates rather than consumes. So with each in-breath, this light of the divine expands and contracts. The ebb and flow of the breath, the way we would inflate a balloon. This ball of light now extending beyond the torso, side to side, front to back, top to bottom, that we're now sitting in this field of light, this field of love. Staying with the breath. Extending now, commingling with our friends here in the sanctuary, even extending beyond time and space to our friends joining us online both now and even in the nows yet to be. That we feel this field of light and love and just allow ourselves now to attune with it. Just allow ourselves a slight smile on the face. As we feel a sense of love and joy in the moment. Tuning now the body temple with the energetic of the Most High. That every atom, every molecule, every cell, every organ, every muscle, every bone, our tendons, every sinew, all the various systems, respiratory, circulation, lymphatic, endocrine, all of it now attuning with that indwelling pattern of perfection as the Spirit of the Most High, the energetic of the Most High is now resonating and attuning every aspect of the body temple, that we feel a sense of strength and power in this moment. A sense of strength and flexibility. As we take a deep breath and release. So now for the mind, that we open that we know that we are open at the top for a divine impress, a creative impulse of life, infusing us even now with new, creative, dynamic ideas to meet any seeming challenge, any seeming circumstance that appears to be separate and outside, that we just recognize now in this moment that it is all one thing. And so we allow ourselves to be the divine impress of life, to anchor deep within the subjective aspect of our own expression, this new spiritual prototype for that which we want to see manifest, see clearly demonstrate in our life. So we take a deep breath and release. So finally now we turn our attention to the heart, that we feel ourselves flowing in the energetic of love, the energetic of life, the frequency of attuning ourselves with the universal Om of the living Spirit. So in this way, the crooked ways are made straight, that our relationships deepen with understanding, an understanding that seeks first to understand rather than to be understood, to love rather than be loved, and to allow the deep love of the Spirit to express itself fully and completely through the demonstration of our own kind face to the world. Taking a deep breath, release. And so here's what we know, that we bring forward now our own cares and concerns, aspirations, inspirations for this evening, as we know together there is but one power, one presence, one source, one life, one living intelligence, the creative impulse of life itself that is both impressing and expressing itself in, through, and as all of life, in, through, and as all of existence, in, through, and as our life. And as we know this truth for ourselves, we know it for others as well. As we know that in knowing this and releasing this new spiritual prototype for our life's greatest expression, that we are releasing it to that aspect of the mind of the divine itself, that in its own complete, unconditional, loving way appears to be impersonal in its expression, a power that knows only to say, yes, my beloved, yes, it is done. So we just take a moment to consider the many blessings which we are grateful for. Clean water to drink, a place to rest our head, food that sustains us, intimate relationships of love and friendship, for spiritual community to come together and to witness each to the other the face of the divine to each other, that we can practice facing and presenting our kind face to the world in here, so that we can then take it out there. So we take a deep breath. Once more, from that deepest place of gratitude, we just release it all now. As we know, we leave here tonight we arrive home safely and in good order. And as we make our way through the rest of this evening, arriving to our beds, our head hits the pillow, we drift off easily to sleep, dreaming sweet dreams that we awaken feeling refreshed, restored, revitalized, with a sense of vim and vigor and a zest for life. That we awaken with an excitement for the day, a day that is productive, joyous, happy, prosperous, and free. So one more final breath, or the final release, and know this with me by saying, and so it is, and so it is. Amen. All right, almost to the minute. So thank you for joining us here in the house. Those of you joining us in the electronic house, nice to have you with us. So again, if you hit that subscribe button, we'll be online at 10:30 here at CSLGH. If you're in town and you like to get your church going out of the way, we're here at 9 o'clock as well. And this week's music will be Jason Goldstein, who's back from touring with Macy Gray, so we can get to hear about that. All right, so until then, peace and blessings. Look forward to seeing you soon. Know that you are loved. And adios, muchachos.